Last episode, I built this dark fantasy starter house and spent almost 200 days getting overpowered armor and tools. But while I can take a hit now, my food stores are running dangerously low. And since starving to death is a really embarrassing way to end a hardcore series, today I want to make sure we never have to worry about food again. At the same time, I want to start laying the groundwork for how we can feed the rest of our kingdom. Now, I could just keep harvesting wheat to make bread over and over again, but where's the fun in that? No, I have something much better in mind. These are the last of my food. And, well, I don't want to starve to death in this world. That would be an incredibly embarrassing way to go. So I have a plan for how we're going to fix our food situation. But first, I need to fix another issue. See, this is our area map, and we need to go through and fill this out before we get too carried away with today's project. And I think I have maps over by our villagers. They're all zombies, except for a few of them. Oh no. Okay, but yeah, we have 60 maps, so we can easily map out this area. Hopefully, this is right in the center of a map. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. Okay. I love to get maps of my worlds, especially in these early days before we've had a chance to change too much of the area. Eventually, we're going to need to get maps of the rest of the continent. Today, we're focusing on a much smaller area. But today's project is going to basically cover all of this area. So I went ahead and went a little bit overkill with it. But what we need to do is collect these 4 maps, I think, and then we're going to make a copy of them. And then we're also going to have to lock all of these. Boom. Okay, now we can take these and put them away for later. I have an idea of what we can use these maps for, but that's going to be a lot later down the road. So for now, I'm just going to put them away in this chest. Now that we've sorted out the maps, I need to get my hands on a lot of pumpkins and melons. At the same time, I need to make sure I'm harvesting and replanting my other crops as much as I can. We're going to need a lot of crops for today's project. But while I wait for batches of these to grow up, I think I want to move the stuff from this little in-between starter base's base into our actual base. This thing has served its purpose for a couple hundred days now. It's accumulated quite a lot of junk, but I think it's finally time that we move everything out of here and get it into our actual base. Yeah, that actually didn't take any time whatsoever. It went a lot quicker than I expected it to. And the benefit of getting organized is I actually found some extra food, so we are good for a little bit while longer. Getting that mess cleaned up made me remember the other mess that needed our attention. This worked out perfectly because I was planning on curing these villagers anyway. This just kind of forced my hand. There's just one problem. I don't have blaze rods to brew potions of weakness. And after moving all my junk, I know for sure that I don't have enough gold to make the apples. So 2 problems, actually, both of which can be solved in one place. But I don't know where a fortress is, so we need to do a bit of hunting. That's the way we went for the bastion, so maybe we go in the opposite direction. Oh, hey, look at that. Now let's just hope that they have a blaze spawner. Not the ideal biome, that's for sure. Oh, here. Awesome. You come here. 3. That's a great start. I really only needed 1, but just to be safe, I got a couple extra. Over half a stack? That should be plenty for now. I do, however, still need quite a bit of gold, a lot more than I have right now, so we are still, unfortunately, going to have to spend some time here and gather up as much of that stuff as we can. Well, I'll happily take some of these as well. Bet you we could find some gold in there. I don't know what the best way to do this is. I'm really scared I'm gonna get knocked off into this lava. Hey buddies, any brutes up here? Oh, okay, there's one. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's what we have the potion for. That's what we have the potion for. Oh my goodness. Okay, 3 minutes of safety, and then we have to go back home. Oh, there's a brute. Where did you come from? Oh, these are the bad ones. These are the bad ones. Okay, we got this. Only panicking a little bit. Any more up here? Ooh, that could have been way worse. Okay, right here. Brutes. Okay, that was a manly scream. Okay. Think we're okay. Oh, is that another brute? Oh, it is. And my fire res is gone. Okay. We have to be extra careful here, people. This is not going as smooth as the other bastion. Don't appreciate that. Oh, and there's a gas now. Thank you. So much for that. Oh, thank you. Even better. On top of it. Okay, we are going to be very careful here. or very, very stupid. I guess we'll see. There is absolutely no shame in doing this. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you take a swim down there. Okay. I was really scared that was a brute. I think the only brutes left are on the bottom now. I think this might be the last of them. And I should be able to sneak in here and get this thing. Well, we got some extra armor out of it. Ooh, and an enchanted golden apple. That's awesome.
Huh?
I did not know that they could ride those. What? Since when? What? Okay, but I think that's all of the loot, so we need to find a way to safely get back upstairs. That was slightly horrifying. Okay, we're gonna try and pillar up in this corner. We made it out. That's another one. 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 He's right here. Okay. Those were manly noises. Means there might be more in here still. I was looking for chests. I thought chests spawned down here, but I guess not. Only jump scares, apparently. Yeah, I'm going home. Deciding that was enough fun for the day and being extra careful not to fall into lava, I made my way back to the portal. Now, thankfully, we already had all of the ingredients that we needed, so we can just come over into our nook and get started with the brewing. We have stuff for a fermented spider eye, which I think is the only ingredient that you need. We got our water here, put our blaze powder up there, and then if this doesn't work, it shouldn't be that hard to repeat. Perfect. Potion of weakness. All right, we're going to put that there, and we're going to craft up some golden apples. Okay, we don't have any apples. Apples. We need 14 apples in total, which means we need 6 more, and there should be some oak trees over here that I suppose we can poach from. And 6. All right, we should be perfectly okay. Apples, check. Potions, check. And some extra blocks. That way we don't let them burn in the day. I'm a little bit worried, a little bit afraid. The sun's coming up. They should be protected. That should take care of the last few regular villagers we had. They should be all able to see me now. I just got to get their attention. Oh, no, 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 no. Ooh, okay, that could have been a lot worse. All right, I think that's all of them. Now we can use the splash potion. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Go for it. Okay, one more. There we go. All right, we're gonna let this sit and they'll all convert.
A few moments later.
Great. We're gonna have to do this again. Oh, which means we need more apples. Dang it. Shoot. There might be a way to isolate them so we don't need as many apples. Okay, gotta be careful. I've done this so many times and I've never had them reconvert back to zombies. That's so annoying. Okay, I think that might have been it. I think 3 of them, unfortunately, just didn't work out. Okay, that sucks. Well, let's see if we can get some more apples. Let's try this again, shall we? There you go, attaboy. All right, not entirely tragic. I don't think we lost anybody, but I'm gonna do a head count real quick. I think we have 14, which is the number we started with, and that is all that you can ask for. With the villagers now feeling better, I began the tedious process of relocating them to our dungeon. Mojang recently overhauled Leeds, which made this a tad easier than the last time I had to move villagers, but they still found a way to get on each and every one of my last nerves. Okay, I've been coming back and forth harvesting the pumpkins and melons, and I'd say we probably have enough to get started with at least the redstone today. The contraption we're making is a modified pumpkin and melon farm, and if you haven't put 2 and 2 together yet, we're going to use pumpkins and melons to trade with farmer villagers to get emeralds to get golden carrots. Because steak is tasty, but golden carrots are just bougie, and I absolutely love them. I am extremely disorganized, but I am not sure I have enough materials to craft all this stuff. We need 2 stacks of observers. That hurts. Okay, 2.5 actually. Jeez. 2 stacks of pistons, 12 comparators, 9 repeaters, 6 crafters, and more redstone than I have left. So I need to go mining real fast. Oh, and before I forget again, I'm gonna grab some of these so that I can turn it into red dye. And now we can dye our sheep because I need a lot of red wool and I need to start collecting this early because this is going to take a long time to harvest. Now we can get some redstone. Perfect. I was not in the mood to strip mine for redstone, and I hadn't yet explored this section of the caves, so I decided to test my luck here before moving on. I have found that I really enjoy caving with shaders. The atmosphere that they create is so cool and moody, not to mention it becomes a lot easier to spot the ores that I need. Okay, but that should be enough redstone. We have just over 3 stacks now, which means we have one more item on the list. I need mangrove roots. We need to build a stacking pumpkin and melon farm, and these roots are the final piece of the puzzle. Once I got those gathered, I got to work building up the farms. Right now, these look very out of place, but I assure you, once we get further in today's build, it will make a lot more sense. On top of their weird spacing, I also had to make sure these were chunk aligned so that we could keep them running with chunk loaders while we're not in the area. And if you pay close attention to the time lapse, you can see me running back and forth to my starter base several times because I kept forgetting stuff. What was driving me even crazier was how disorganized everything was from the move. So after I finished the farms, I took some much needed time to get my storage organized. With that now sorted, I realized at some point I misplaced my mending villager and not all my tools had mending yet. We're going to be doing a lot of terraforming later and mending is an absolute necessity if I want to keep my tools alive. This also gave me a chance to replace some of the other librarians with ones that actually had the glass trade that I wanted. Okay, the farms have had a couple days to run now. I'm curious how much we were able to get. Okay, checking the pumpkin first. Stacking about 2/3. Ideally, these are going to be even. Okay, more melons than we have pumpkins. I think I'm actually okay with that. We do at this moment have a little bit of inefficiency, but it should be the same on both sides. As far as the redstone goes, we don't really have anything super complicated here. At most, this is just like a really fancy filter. So we have a way for us to craft up the melons once they come in. And then once the melons fill up this middle chest here, they're actually going to get sent to an overflow system that's going to automatically compost the melons and turn them into bone meal and put them back into this chest. I assure you it looks a lot more complicated than it is, but that is the same system on both sides. So if we do ever end up getting more than 2 barrels worth of pumpkins and melons, we're going to turn them into bone meal so that they're not going to waste because we realistically are never going to need that many. But that's only one half of our problem solved. The other half is getting farmer villagers. And I know we just spent a bit of time dealing with the villagers, but it's time for a little bit more. The farmers should be much easier than librarians. I'm not entirely sure how many farmers I'm going to want. At the end of the day, this is going to be for food, but it's also going to be a really good source of XP and a lot more reliable than those 4 toolsmiths that we have that we're trading iron with. So we might end up going with more than just 6. This is going to be a very temporary setup, so it's going to be super janky for right now. Just enough to get us some space to work with. Ooh. Okay, well, that's a wash. Not the best start. Now, the big thing we want to look out for is this pumpkin trade right here. Thankfully, it's really early in the trading tree, but villagers will always trade for melons. It's the pumpkin trade that they don't always have. And we have both pumpkins and melons to trade, so we want to get villagers with both of those available. So like this guy, tough day. He's not going to live much longer because he didn't give us pumpkins right away. But hopes are still high for these other guys. It's not near as tedious as cycling trades with the librarians, but it does make you go through a lot more villagers. Another pumpkin, and I think these guys are going to wait till it's morning, so maybe we'll sleep the night away. All right, while we give them a minute to warm up, I think these crops are ready to harvest again. Ooh, they definitely saw me hit the other guy though. That's unfortunate. Okay, no pumpkins. No pumpkins. Wow, we're getting really unlucky here. Okay, pumpkins. This guy's got pumpkins, but these two still. Almost. Oh, we better get it soon. I think that's our last villager. Okay, pumpkins. Good. It's all on this last guy. All right, fingers crossed. You're my last hope. Just gonna turn that back on real fast. All right, this is perfect. The only difference that I'd like to make now is we probably want to go through another round of curing so that we can bring the pumpkin trade down to 1. And it just so happens that we could also cure these other guys. I got some clerics to help us with some redstone earlier, and then these are the 3 librarians I ended up getting. And thankfully, I don't need to go and farm apples anymore because some of these guys, if I can find one that isn't mad at me, some of these guys will trade me plenty of apples for emeralds, and 64 is going to be more than enough for these guys. And thanks to getting organized, I actually found a lot of extra gold, so we have plenty to smelt up and turn into some apples. I made sure to pay close attention to the villagers during this round of curing, and thankfully there weren't any problems this time. With them all cured and situated neatly back into their cells, I finally had easy access to pumpkin and melon trades, as well as our delicious golden carrots. Just in time too, I was running dangerously low on steak. Now that we've taken care of our own food problem, there's the issue of feeding the rest of our kingdom. I already mentioned it, but for today's build, I want to focus on this whole area. We have farmers, but those farmers need homes. They can't just sit in cobblestone boxes for the rest of their lives, and I don't have any room left in the dungeon, so we gotta put them somewhere. I think this land is the perfect place to solve both of our problems. For the time being, as our kingdom grows and we expand across more of the continent, we'll need to create more of these farming communities to properly sustain all of our people. I'm thinking lots of cute little villages spread across the continent and maybe even further into the neighboring lands. But right now, this area is a mess, and it's going to take a lot of work to get it ready to turn into a farming village. And I need a beacon. I underestimated just how much land I needed to get rid of. This small chunk took me about 2.5 hours, and I've barely made a dent. The farms have had some time to run though. Now, if I want a beacon, I need to kill a ton of wither skeletons, and the fortress we found earlier wasn't exactly in the best spot to be farming for an extended period of time. But I did see one near the bastion from last episode that could be just good enough for a temporary farm. And we've got a lot more fire resistance potions at our disposal now, so it should be a piece of cake. It's been a minute since I've had to set up one of these farms, and I was a little worried I was wasting my time. With every new section flattened out, each crevice spawn-proofed as best I could, and with every skeleton killed, I was starting to get more and more worried. After an hour or so, I made it to 50 wither skeletons killed, without a single skull dropping. And then, I got 2 back-to-back, which of course completely reinvigorated the charge, and I managed to push through and get that final skull after 68 wither skellies and a little over 2 hours at this fortress. Woo. The next part's the easiest part, of course. Killing the wither on Java is not scary whatsoever. All I did was dig a long tunnel, made sure to keep the wither's attention, and picked up all the blocks it left behind once I finished it off. We'll be using all these goodies later. And since we've had an iron farm from very early on, getting the blocks for the beacon base was not hard either. With the beacon set up and roughly 3 hours of work getting here, I got back to work terraforming. And boy, am I glad we took that time to get a beacon. In order to make this area look like it could feed a kingdom, or at least some of it, we need to leave tons of room for crop fields. I've been slowly gathering each of the crop types since we settled in this area, and each field is looking to need about a double chest of seeds. But I can't just flatten the terrain and plant a bunch of fields. That wouldn't look right. So instead, we're going to smooth out the area and add some nice rolling hills to the valley. And to break up those hills and keep it from becoming too monotonous, I'm also leaving space for some big rocks. Visually, these rocks are going to help give the area some depth, as well as provide some nice natural separation between different fields and parts of the road. We're also leaving some flatter areas to come through later and add those villager houses. I made it to this point in the design and started to overthink things a tad. You see, my brain began to question exactly how on earth the farmers in this area were going to irrigate this much land. Of course, there was a small lake closer to the center of the continent already, but that was much farther downhill than I wanted. Instead of relying solely on that one body of water, I took inspiration and added a few more lakes to the valley. And by no means am I an agriculture expert and expect this to be the logical solution to irrigate all these crops, but adding these bodies of water helped my mind rationalize it, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. After the broad strokes were taken care of, I came back through and outlined where I wanted our main roads to go. I think we'll come back through and add some footpaths later on going to different spots, but this was a really great start for getting this space travelable. All in all, digging the terrain, smoothing it out, getting these lakes ready, and doing the paths took around 18 hours in total. And oh boy, could I not be more thankful that I decided to get a beacon so early on. It's crazy to think that we did all of this work and it's still only about half of what we're doing today. It looks a little bit janky at the moment, but you gotta trust the process with this one. But I love to show you kind of these in-between ugly phases so that you can see how exactly we put together the builds that we do and how exactly our process works over time. We're definitely a build by pieces type of player. So we're just assembling this build, this town, this village one step at a time, basically. But the next step for today's project, taking a break from terraforming, we have a little bit of resource collection to do. And since I don't have shulker boxes, I think we are going to try and make our life a little bit easier and get our hands on an ender chest. I have ender right in the center and then obsidian surrounding, and boom, we have our ender chest. Now this is going to give us basically an extra inventory's worth of storage, because right now I don't have shulker boxes and I don't want to make a ton of trips back and forth just dumping out a single inventory's worth of stuff. So this will help carry us a little bit further, and now I have to be worried about having silk touch on at all times. Now we got to get to work. Once again, I am so thankful we got that beacon earlier. The amount of deep slate we got from wither mining was nowhere near what we needed for today's builds. Not only are we collecting the materials to texture the rocks, I also finally nailed down a design for what's going to be covering the pumpkin and melon farms. The build we're doing today is really going to help us solidify the overall style I want to use for the royal builds going forward. We've already explored these color choices in the starter base with a lot of the darker tones, red roofs, and green accents. Today, we're turning that up to an 11 and going super dark. But while we want our royal builds to have this very dark, contrasting palette, for more of the common areas like towns and villages especially, we're going to lean more into the green elements. We'll get to see basically the full spectrum of this building style with today's projects. So on top of the darker blocks like deep slate, we also need to utilize a lot of tuff, because it works well at the grayscale and can also be paired with the green elements like mossy cobblestone, which we use a lot of in the village houses. Moving up the grayscale, we also need a hefty chunk of andesite, and since we're in the area, granite as well. The andesite will mostly be used to help with the texturing of the rocks. It's a little too bright for anything else today. And of course, the granite will be used in a similar way as we did in the tower roofs of our starter base. Building off the dark theme, we also need to collect a ton of mud. Thankfully, with access to the nether roof, it really wasn't too far of a journey to get back to the mangrove swamp, but I still ended up needing to make several trips. And then it was time for the darkest tone in the palette, blackstone. Moving and setting up the beacon again, I was able to make short work of the rest of the bastion from last episode. Unfortunately, that wasn't nearly enough, so I ended up stuck in the basalt delta mining anything that wouldn't pour lava on my face, which worked out well for me because I also needed a fair amount of basalt. Still, not my favorite way to gather these blocks. All that was left was a few stacks of sand, so that we could make light gray concrete powder to pair with the light gray wool from earlier, both of which act as highlights on the rocks. I like to think that any opportunity to practice is an opportunity to grow. I had mentioned wanting to get better at terraining over the course of the series, and while I appreciate this opportunity to work on that goal here, I feel like this terrain may have been more of a lateral step in our journey. It's not necessarily doing a lot to try and grow, more so just working on developing the strategies I already know. And to be fair, this is a unique area to work with. I didn't want to pull too much attention away from the rest of the land since we'll eventually have a lot of builds lining this space, so leaving it a little bit more plain was okay. I just feel like I need a better way of tackling these big empty spaces that's not just chuck a rock here and move on. At the same time, it felt way too boring without the rocks, so I really don't know. I am very curious as to what you think about this space. Is it okay? Could it be better in some areas? I'd like to know. What would you do differently? Oh, and I plan on doing a lot more with these water features later today, but some things like improving this waterfall area are not going to happen for a little while. It's time to go to work on our villager houses. With a quick stop off at a nearby lush cave, I had everything I needed to get to work. I wanted the houses we're building today to feel like they belong together. I know, crazy concept for a village, but I kept that need for similarity in mind throughout the entire design process. I started first with the basic shapes. Each house has a main section that's 11 by 8 blocks. From there, I picked a spot and extended a smaller portion that helps break up that main shape. I connected the two roofs together and started loosely outlining where I wanted details like windows, doors, maybe a porch or a chimney to go. And after that, it was time for texturing. To give it a bit of separation between the surrounding ground and the main house, which was going to be very green, I added in a single layer of darker foundation blocks. From there, I started working on texturing the walls. First, converting the full space to moss, which was the main block that I wanted represented, and then working backwards with the rest of my texturing blocks. We need to make sure to keep the block variety simple when we're working with such small shapes, so we're really only relying on a 4-block gradient. Pale moss sometimes, tuff, mossy cobblestone, and moss. For a bit more variety and to break up some of the barren faces of the builds, I added some vertical foundation blocks in the form of tough bricks and stone bricks. This helps break up the very loose textures in the rest of the palette and helps provide some visual stability as our eyes move up the build. After the wall texturing was complete, I moved to improving some of the other details we outlined earlier. The final step was texturing the roof, keeping a similar simple gradient in mind, moving from deep slate tiles at the darkest, deep slate bricks in the middle ground, and cobble deep slate as the worn out majority. I purposely went with an even width in the build because I really like the distinctive nature of the staggered roof peak. In my testing, coming up to a single point just didn't hit the same. And of course, I also added a lot more details in that final pass. In total, I created 3 different designs that I used twice each, for a total of 6 houses. The second time I used a design, I would make sure to rotate it or flip it in a certain way so that you really couldn't tell unless you knew what you were looking for. And I just revealed the secret, but let me know if you could see it before. At this point, our total number of farmer villagers has grown to 12. Something I was not initially planning on, but I was so desperate for XP to repair my tools from all the digging and whatnot that I just gave in. We still have an even number of villagers, but now instead of 1 farmer per hut, it'll be 2, which is okay. Everyone needs a partner. Speaking of partners, I've been staring at these rocks, and I think part of what's throwing me off is the fact that they're all by themselves. Sure, we'll be putting in fields shortly that'll help, but I feel like this area needs a bit more in the natural sense. All the way back in December, I did a little thing called 50 trees in 50 days, and to commemorate the end of the challenge, I made a short that said for every 5 subscribers I get from the short, I will add 1 tree to a custom forest in my forever world. And well, we gained a respectable 500 subscribers from that. Doing the math, I owe you 109 custom trees, but there's a catch. I also posted this short on Instagram and TikTok, which gained me a combined 1,100 followers between the 2 platforms. So really, I owe you 330 custom trees. And it's been 11 weeks to the day since I posted that short, so adjusting for inflation and interest rates and the moon phase, we're going to round it off to a nice even 400 trees. Yep. We need a lot of leaves. And I think I want to do something drastic. You see, we need to mine about 20,000 leaves in total, and we also need to plant a ton of crop fields. So instead of investing in like 5 different hoes, I think I want to invest in 1 really good hoe. And it just so happens that earlier today, we raided a bastion and got a bunch of extra ancient debris and netherite scraps. So we actually have enough to make a single netherite ingot, which I'm going to put on a hoe. This hoe specifically. And this might be crazy, but I don't care. I know how much I'm gonna need for today's project, and I don't care. I don't care that my first piece of netherite thing is gonna be a hoe. All right, you can at me in the comments. And we can come out here to our workstation, and right here we can upgrade our first netherite item. Serious dedication, yes. Oh boy, my first netherite tool. We're going to use it. We're going to mine like 20,000 leaves, so it's going to be worth it. The extra durability, it's like a lot more, significantly more than a diamond tool, so it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. We have so many leaves to collect, and I think what I want to do is come after these ones around our base. We're eventually going to get rid of all of these trees at some point anyway, so I might as well make use of their leaves before they go to waste. I also want to take this time to give a huge shout out to our brand new members. Since the last episode, we have gotten 7 new members in total. Finite Shine, Gustavo Iniguez, Dust Q, Eli Sayers, Pedrino, Skychild, and Greywall. Thank you all so much for your support. It helps me out more than you know. And if you, dear viewer, want to check out memberships and all the different benefits we have, be sure to check that out in the description. Also, while you're down there, check out my brand new Patreon, which you can become a member of for free. I've got access to basically all the same stuff that we do on the memberships, but there's a little bit more versatility over on that website. So if you're interested in any of the schematics, any of the world downloads, anything like that, and memberships just aren't really your thing, maybe go check out Patreon instead. Huge thank you again to all of our new members. Love you guys. I can put down trees easy enough, but I'm not really sure what the best way to make this feel like a forest is. Of course, not all of this area is meant to be a forest. The areas around the fields are supposed to be more sparse, in places where maybe the villagers have cleaned up some of the trees to make room for their fields. But this section at the edge, I would really like to develop over time and turn it more into that foresty feel. It has a lot of potential, and I'm really not sure where to start with it, so any suggestions you have will be more than welcome. I'm starting a list. Before we put in the fields, I want to add more flags around the houses and roads. I really like using these as points of interest around our houses. Red and green are complementary colors, so they work well together. The red also works as a strong contrast against the blue sky and in a similar way to the fields we're about to add in. I'm also doing this now because I don't want to trample a bunch of crops trying to put these in after the fact. That's the same exact reason I chose to light up the rocks right now. I do not want to spend a bunch of my time fixing my trampled fields because mobs keep spawning and ruining my aesthetic. I think this might be the most amount of crop fieldage I have ever done in a world. I spent, and I kid you not, 7.5 hours moving water, tilling dirt, and planting seeds. And the result is, I mean, it's okay. I feel like it's not 7.5 hours worth of okay. It was a very tedious process for a pretty meh result, but whatever. We gave it a shot. We've 1 field for each crop type, and they're all a reasonably large size. Believable, at least for the time being, that they can support at least a small population, which is what we're going for. Now, whether or not this was worth the effort is still to be determined. I think it's kind of growing on me. I think it's cool. Definitely at certain angles, from up above, it's a little bit strange, I gotta admit, but it does look pretty good from the ground. Logically, I don't know how much it makes sense. You know, I don't know how much like the water makes sense, how they're able to irrigate all these crops And I don't really know if like bigger fields like this are like the best in terms of feeding people, but hey, we are just we're going for aesthetics as well as a little bit of function. You know, whatever function helps us rationalize it in our heads. But I mean, I think it will grow on me over time. I think adding the trees in here definitely helped. I really like the way that the trees came out. The rest of it just feels like maybe it's a bit too plain in some areas. Maybe it just needs a bit more life, like that, more of a lived in feeling, because right now everything's a little bit empty. You know, we haven't done too much to I don't know why that's there. We haven't done too much to make the forest feel like it's a forest, make the fields feel like they've been lived in, you know, like doing little stuff like adding life, like carts around the roads, maybe adding those villagers in like we talked about. Maybe that'll help us a little bit. But I mean, for the time being, I'm actually okay with leaving it and just kind of developing it over time. I especially love coming over here to this edge of the forest where this part actually does feel like a forest on the edge of those fields. This view right here, actually going backwards, this is probably my favorite view of this area, but I do feel like this needs some more stuff like grass, maybe some more bushes, some trees and stuff, like little trees, little bushes, stuff like that. I don't know. It's something that we have to develop over time. But elephant in the room, there is a certain someone, not that's a sheep. There is a certain someone flying around here that we have yet to be introduced to. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can find her, where'd she go? Oh, there she is. This is Beatrice. Beatrice is our happy gas that I planted in this lake right here, right as we started doing all of the crops. We're gonna be utilizing Beatrice for the next segment of today. Now, if she would come down here and stop floating around. Ooh, okay, harnessed, and we can ride her directly from the horse. That's crazy. Stay here. I feel like a little kid with a balloon right now. Now, Beatrice, she is going to help us put together the bridge, because right now I do not have an elytra, and I am scared to death of heights, and this bridge is going to be like 150 blocks off of the ground. And if we fall from that, even with Feather Falling 4, we are definitely going to die. And I don't want to do that, so we are going to utilize Beatrice here. This sweet, fluffy little cloud is going to help us with the building process for the bridge and the heights. Oh, okay, she's running away. Well, that's okay. She'll come back to us. Now, another thing that I'm debating on adding to the crop fields are these border walls. We did a couple over here going up towards our starter base, and I think it works in this context, but I don't know if I'd necessarily be happy with these kinds of walls all around the farming village. I kind of like how these just come up directly on the road. I feel like having a wall along here blocking our sight line, it doesn't feel as natural as this does. And I actually really like how this feels. And then areas like this where it's like in between, or maybe just the fields up against our starter base, we could add some walls or something like that. But it's something that I'm definitely okay sitting with and coming back to at a later point, because I don't want to do all of this today. We've already spent over 200 days on this one video, and I think I'm getting a little bit tired of doing village shenanigans, but we do only have a couple things left to do. So we're gonna get to it. Okay, we're gonna stop rambling, we're gonna stop procrastinating. I mean, I've spent enough time doing work today, but we're gonna do a bit more today to finally put the entire picture together and get us a good feel for the village and for how the royal builds are gonna feel later on down the road. Beatrice, would you come down here, please? I'm trying to get to work. We discussed the palette of the royal builds earlier, the main focus being on very dark, contrasting builds. This bridge we're building is a way to test this idea and see if it's something I want to carry forward. The bridge itself runs between the two different central mountains and doesn't connect to anything at the moment. On the one side, closer to our starter house, we're going to eventually connect it to something. And at this moment, I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be, maybe like a castle, ruin, or fortress of some kind. I haven't really decided. But on the other side of the bridge, we'll eventually connect it up to the rear of our castle. So it'll look really strange and out of place for the time being. You'll just have to trust the process. The build overall wasn't hard to put together. The most annoying thing was needing to run back and forth so frequently for more materials. I probably spent about a third of my time just riding Beatrice back and forth and waiting for her to cooperate. This whole project made me realize how much I miss having shulker boxes, a problem I think we'll remedy in the next episode. And tragedy. I really didn't think I was in any danger working my way through most of the nights. I play with Phantoms disabled because I think they're an incredibly stupid mechanic, and since I've got great gear, there's really not much to be afraid of once the sun sets. But that was not the case for my dear Beatrice. Happy guests are not fast, which means they're also not very maneuverable when you're trying to dodge arrows. Unfortunately, I got caught in a bad spot and couldn't get Beatrice out of the way in time, but the hits kept on coming. Now I was stuck over 100 blocks in the air with no way to get down, no water bucket, fighting mobs, and trying not to slip off the edge. Thankfully, the section I got stuck in was right over a snowy biome. And taking a closer look at the snow, I realized that most of what was under me was powdered snow, or at least I was pretty sure. If you don't know, powdered snow stops all fall damage, but it's really hard to tell apart from regular snow. This time, we got lucky. Beatrice will be missed. Hello, Beatrice II. Oh my god, are you not the cutest thing ever? I promise I will let nothing happen to you. I made sure to be extra careful with Beatrice II. We got to work finishing up the last bits of the bridge, which included the upper towers, the tower roofs, some missing details along the upper portions of the bridge, and of course, more flags. But not just regular flags. You see, I think to really round out this bridge and add a little something extra, I want to create a giant flag hanging over one of the sides. Something to really sell the royalness of the new structure. And lastly, I know we've already built 400 trees today. I want to put one more on top of this hill. We're going to build an ancient willow to round out this village. It's going to be the final piece of this composition. I designed this all together so that the willow would perfectly align underneath the arches of the bridge. This is the piece that really ties it all together. Here we begin to understand the relationship I want to have between the darkest parts of dark fantasy and the connection to the greener side of this theme. You also get to see very clearly the contrast I was talking about with the dark colors, the greens, and the red accents all painted across the blue sky. I'm very excited to develop this theme further. And here we are, almost 250 days after starting this project. We are, well, we're not done yet. We actually still have a bit more to do, but it's been so long for this video that I'm not facing burnout, but I'm getting a little bit close to not wanting to work on this project anymore. But there are a few things that I want to push through and get done before we call it a wraps on today's video. I've been flying around on Beatrice so much that I have not gotten this lower perspective of the bridge yet, and this is absolutely incredible. It's very imposing. I really like it from this angle. Oh my goodness. Okay, but what I want to do for the last bits, we're gonna do a few of the finishing touches in some of the areas. Like we need to do interiors on all 6 houses at some point, but I don't want to do that today, so we're just going to do an interior on one of them. And I want to walk you through kind of my thought process on how we divide up the interior and how we detail everything. And we also need to make sure that we keep it villager safe, because we're going to be populating these houses with villagers, and I don't want them getting out, and I don't want unnecessary things getting in, like this pig in the window for whatever reason. You, my friend, don't go in there. Go home. Go to your mother. Get out. Stop trying to walk through the trap door, bro. Okay, yeah, don't do that again. But I've got an inventory full of blocks. I have an ender chest full of blocks, and we're gonna try and transform this interior into something that's semi-livable. We're not gonna go super rustic, super dirty. We're gonna kind of try and mirror a similar style to what we did in our starter house, and hopefully we can come out with something that's, you know, at least a little cozy, at least a little comfortable, something that the villagers can spend the rest of their days inside of, you know? And first things first, I want to divide up the area a little bit. I like to go through and outline things with like cobblestone and set sections for floors and walls and ceilings and different rooms and stuff like that. But right now I actually do have not a schematic pulled up, but I do have some different screenshots that I took, just some mock builds that I did in creative. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do just the basics, you know. We're gonna texture out this main area. This is gonna be like the main living space. We're gonna have a kitchen over here, and then like a dining room, and then a stairway up to a little loft. So this area is gonna be like the main space that they come through, live in sort of, and just exist in. And we're gonna signify that by doing a nice like gravel cobblestone slab, andesite slab floor here. I feel like this is much better than doing like a dirt floor or coarse dirt or something like that. That just feels obviously a lot more dirty, and doing something like this makes it feel like it's a bit more established as a floor, and like they have a bit more money or status going for them. I'm not really sure. It makes more sense in my brain. And of course, we don't want to go like too over the top with our block variety, because in such a small space, doing more than like 3 blocks is just going to feel overwhelming, and it's going to feel a bit like block vomit. But we're also going to switch up the variety a little bit, adding some like leaf litter on top of the blocks. So like there's other ways that you can go about adding extra texture, but I feel like going for more than 3 blocks in such a small space is just not necessary whatsoever. This pig really wants to be in this house for some reason. We might keep him in here as like a little pet. We can oh, what's that pig from Gravity Falls? Let's call him that. Now for the kitchen area, we're actually going to build off of the chimney easy. And we're going to put a fireplace in here so that the villagers can have a space to cook their food. Not that they're going to do much cooking, but you know, it's for the lore. But Piggy, get away from the fire. Hopefully he comes out. Actually, I need you to get out of here right now. You're freaking me out, dude. Do not step in the fire. I wish I had my lead on me. Get out. Okay, stay over there. Pig. Oh, I think he just sizzled his toes. Okay. Dude, what are you... Are you serious? How stupid is that? Okay, you know what? You deserve to die. Okay, now I think to give this space a bit more definition, I want to create sort of an outline between the floor and the fire itself. So it feels like we kind of have a little barrier of protection here. And then we're also going to bring back this trapdoor so we don't accidentally walk in there. And hopefully, I don't think our villagers will actively walk in here, but I might need to put an extra something up top there. And then at the same time, I think we're going to have another doorway right here, and we're going to use that as another like transitioning block in between the two different spaces. And then speaking of this space, I want to put a wall right here, and we're going to carry this across. Here we're just utilizing a lot of the brown tones at our disposal. The brown and the green go very well together. And then to give us a little bit of a doorway, something like that. So it doesn't quite line up with the front door, but I like the fact that it's offset. I think it kind of draws your eye towards the center of the build, since this front door isn't quite centered itself. It also kind of pulls you further into this back room, and it leads your interest throughout the build. Okay, and then at the base of this wall, I actually want to put the staircase going up to the loft right here. And it is getting a little bit dark, so I want to turn on gamma. But we are going to do some like stone stairs up to the second floor. We're going to use these as temporary blocks and then put an extra one right there. And then to make it feel like a little bit more structured, we're going to put these andesite bricks on the opposite side. So that way from underneath, it kind of looks like they provide extra support. And then instead of bringing the wood wall underneath here, we're going to actually pull through the exterior wall pattern and we're going to put it underneath this part here. So it feels like it's a bit more supported that way. And we're also going to end up covering up a lot of it with the details. So we're just going to go plain stone. And if anything is sticking out at the end, we can texture it later. Then we'll fill in this section here. And we're leaving this row empty because we're going to come through with our, if I had it in my inventory, oh boy, what a mess this is becoming. We're going to come through with some stripped spruce logs and create a bit of a border between the roof section and the walls that we have. This also serves to provide a bit of structure for the build. And then building off of that, we're going to do some trusses, I think is what they're called, going across the upper roof section to provide a bit more visual stability up here. And that way it doesn't look like the roof is just floating. Yeah, something like that. Not a whole lot, but it does serve to break up a bit of that roof section and to help make it feel like it isn't just floating there. Okay, now to finish up the details in the kitchen, we're going to build off of the kitchen feel, and we're going to put a little sink right next to the fireplace. It's a very small workstation, but I mean, it's just two of them here. They shouldn't need a lot of room for cooking. At least I don't think they need a lot. And then we're going to fill this wall up with a lot of shelves and some little decorations, of course. And we're going to use this loom in combination with some chiseled bookshelves. Visually, it looks like these blocks have a very similar composition, and it kind of almost appears like the loom is maybe just a closed off version of the chiseled bookshelf. And then to further increase the cabinet idea, we're going to try our best to make a sort of extended version of one of these shelves that might be part of this cabinet. It's not the cleanest, but given our limitations in this game, I feel like this design, it kind of gives that idea. It's really just about using your imagination. Just gotta believe. And plunk. That is a zombie horse head. I think they look like those pigs from Angry Birds, but okay. And then to bring more of the green into this center area, because right now we have a lot of green, and then nothing in this middle part. I think what we can do to help balance that out is bring in a little plant just like this. It's not a lot, but it does kind of bring the color all the way through this wall. And then while I'm thinking about it, I also want to put an extra trapdoor right there just to make sure the villagers don't try and jump over this fire. And this space now, I think I want to tackle the loft first because that's going to be easiest. To make this feel like it's not taking up a lot of space, we're going to use slabs across the top. And then to give it a bit more structure, we're going to use these upside down stairs and then slabs on the other side. So it kind of gives the impression maybe there's like a cross beam or something moving across this platform. And then what balcony would be complete without a guardrail? Nice. And I'm not sure if the villagers are going to use it, but we're going to tuck a bed up here. And because this space is so flat and kind of gross looking, we're going to try and fluff it up a little bit with some carpets. I mean, there shouldn't really be a reason that they can't get up here, right? Now with the dining room, I'm a big fan of these shelves. I think they're my favorite addition of this past year. They are just such a versatile block. I love them. Now, something that I really like to do with these tables is try and give the impression of some pushed in chairs. A lot of the times you'll see something like just this slab here with some trapdoors in the back and you're like, yeah, that's a chair. But we do not always have chairs sitting out, feet from the table. They are usually pushed into the table, and I've been trying my best to like hone in how to get that across. And I feel like this strategy here of just pushing the trapdoors up against the table, I think it works really, really well. You just got to be sure that you clear or you close off this space underneath as well to really sell that idea. But I mean, you can't tell me that that's not a table with two pushed in chairs, right? That looks so good. And then to give us a bit of light in the space, we're going to put a lantern right in the center of the room. And then we're going to put like a cup on the table. And also I forgot item frames, but those will act as plates later on. Okay. And then we're going to put some bookshelves here, maybe some chiseled bookshelves, maybe another one like that. And then boom. Yeah. See, we covered up that entire wall, so we really don't have to texture it too much. And this room is complete. Aside from like some little extra details that we might be able to add. Ooh, like we could come through here with our leaf litter and just kind of spam these everywhere. So this is kind of how we bring in more of that like rustic feeling to this space. It's not really adding a whole lot to the texture. It's not like overwhelming our eyes or anything like that. It's just a nice little extra something, like maybe we'll put a couple extra underneath the stairs because you don't really get to sweep under there. It's just something to kind of break up the visuals a bit more without overwhelming it too much. And leaf litter is very versatile, but it's kind of annoying to place a ton of, so you have to be very sparing with how you use it. But I think this room is pretty good to go. Now for the back room, I think I want to bring these slabs all the way across the room like that. And then in the middle here, I think I want to do kind of a rug pattern with these muddy mangrove roots. I think that one's the wrong way. Just give us a nice little rug texture that we can use. Pretty simple, and we're really not using these things for anything else right now, so I feel like that's perfect. And then over here on this wall, I want to do sort of like a dresser cabinet system right here. Just something that they could like store their clothes in, nothing too complicated. And then we're going to bring in more light in this room. We're going to do sort of like a hanging fixture over the top of this armoire. I don't know what it's called. And then in the middle here, we're going to put a bed frame, and then we're going to go get our beds from the ender chest. Something simple, but utilizing the shelves because they are such a good block. Getting the beds to throw it all together, and look at that. Nice, cozy little bedroom. Now, we are missing some things like paintings that I want to include in some areas and some item frames, so let me go grab those real fast, and we'll do the final bits. Now, I love to use these as plates, but I do wish we had some sort of dishes in Minecraft. I feel like that would be so cool. And I want to do like a nice little 2x1 painting here. Give me a cool one. That'll work. And like it gives us a nice like pop of blue as well. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And then something like a mirror here. Yeah, that's not creepy at all. We're gonna lay here in bed and we're gonna turn our head and see that skull. That's perfect. Okay, one more thing. Because we don't want the villagers to get out, we unfortunately have to ruin a bit of the aesthetic and put some fence gates in. Actually, I think these ones can go on the inside, so we don't have to ruin the aesthetic too much. But yeah, okay, they shouldn't be able to get out here, even if they were to no, okay, they'll be fine. But in here, it's a bit tighter of a space, so we do unfortunately have to go to the outside, which isn't that big of a deal. We're not going to see this area too much, so whatever, we can live with it. As long as the villagers don't get out, I will be happy. Okay, now there's just one more thing I need to do. Those guys right there need to be moved into this house. Two of them need to be moved into the house, and we're gonna leave the rest for another time. But I'm trying to think of the easiest way to do it, and I think we could utilize Beatrice and like put them in boats and fly them over there, but that Beatrice is, you know, she's my queen. I love her, Queen Bee, you know, all that stuff. But I don't think she is. I'm really vibing with her anymore. She kind of got on too many of my nerves today, and I feel like I need to give her a break. I did find a way to keep her stationary underneath this tree. I thought that was kind of funny, but she hangs out here. She's happy. She's smiling. You know, she's exposed to the elements and all that stuff. She loves being outside. She loves it, guys. But I think we are going to do this the old-fashioned way, or the new old-fashioned way, because they updated the leads and they're really not that bad to work with right now. We just have to hope the villagers are the ones that cooperate. God, look at that. That is so cool. Oh my goodness. Getting distracted. We're gonna take 2 of these guys. They're in minecarts already. I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't lead a minecart, and they won't fit in a boat just yet. But I think maybe if we put the boat here and then break the minecart. Okay, they're not moving. Are they just kind of stuck there now? It's kind of funny. Probably should not have done this at nighttime, but you know, they're disposable, I guess. Oh, okay. There's one. My friend. Join your friend. Do I need to put down a thing? Excuse me, sir. Would you get in the boat, please? Oh, there we go. Okay. Take these. Oh, that is one thing I didn't think about. How are we gonna fit their workstations? Stop. How are we gonna fit their workstations inside of that build? One problem at a time, I suppose. Okay, now I thought it would have been more dangerous at night, but actually it might be just the time of day that we need, because I think they're gonna pathfind directly to the beds. My guys, where did they go? How did they disappear that fast? Dude, where actually did they go? What? Excuse me? Oh wait, no? Oh my god, I did not think this through all the way. I'm actually so confused. How did they just... Oh. No way. No way they did that. Okay. Oh, I'm the idiot for believing in these villagers. Yeah, you guys just, you know, do your thing, I guess. Okay, we're gonna just... Ugh. Okay, villager 1. No. Are you okay? Okay, so he can't get up. I think the carpet's blocking him. Look at that. Okay, now, oh my goodness. Okay, definitely could have put more thought into that, but I mean, all's well that ends well, I suppose. Okay, now where are we gonna put these composters? I'm thinking maybe here instead of a dresser. You guys can just have a dual composter setup, maybe. Your partner doesn't love you anymore if they're sleeping upstairs in the attic. Oh, I forgot a wall. So good at this game, guys. We're gonna chalk it up as a success. We got their workstations in place. They shouldn't be able to get on top of them, or I really don't know what's gonna go wrong with this house. I didn't actually put more than one thought into this place. I didn't really think to villager proof it, but we're gonna say screw it and we're gonna walk away. And as sort of a final thank you to all of our brand new members and the existing members, we have 12 villagers and 10 new channel members in total. So we're going to name them after our channel members: Pokerion, Beast Rip, Silver Serrano, Finite Shine, Gustavo Iniguez, Dust Q, Eli Sayers, Pedro Braga, Skychild, and Greywall. And then we also have 2 brand new Patreon members as well, and 2 more villagers. Guys? Where are my villagers? Oh, I never closed the window. No. Well, Rek and Wadi, thank you so much for being my first 2 Patreon members. We will replace those villagers sometime soon. I am very, very sorry about that. But seriously, an extra special thank you to all of the new members and Patreon people. I appreciate you so much. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe they both didn't die. Why are you all the way down here, dude? Did you trample my crops? I swear to God. Where's your friend at, though? Okay, well, we better not delay. Oh, no. How has he gone away already? Oh, he did trample my crops. How dare he? Okay. Where on earth? Oh, okay. I imagine you're probably the same one I saw earlier. Would you mind pointing me to where your friend is? One crisis at a time. Kid, I'm gonna do the smart thing and drag the boat inside instead of letting you walk. I do not trust you whatsoever anymore. Maybe we have a chance of finding the other guy. Oh my God. Have you been there this whole time? I've been all around looking for you. Have you just been back here this whole time? Dude, really starting to hate villagers. Okay, inside, close the gate, close the door, go to bed. All right, now we're gonna be extra careful this time. That's closed off, can't get through there. Those windows are closed. Okay, can't get out up here. All right, fine. Well, whatever, I'm done, I'm over it. They're back, we could name them, I guess. Stupid. I thought those windows were cool. Now I'm not so sure. Rek and Wadi, your villagers are troublemakers, but I love you guys. Thank you. And while we're not quite done with the project, before we move on, I want to get more maps of the area just to kind of see how much it's improved since we started. I don't really know how it happened, but some of the maps did not get locked from the beginning of this project, and it's a little bit unfortunate, but you can see just how much work actually went into today's video. Let me see, I can do free cam here. Yeah, you can see just the direct difference between the two. On the right is from where we started, for the most part, and then on the left is what we were able to accomplish today. So we did in fact do a ton of work, and there's still so much more to do, but I feel like it's in a good enough spot to just leave it for now and come back to it over time. I'm more than happy to do that. I'm a little bit upset though that some of these didn't get locked, but what can you do? In total, this project took me around about 100 hours to complete. 250 in-game days of terraforming, resource gathering, tilling fields, and slowly building up this village. Now there is still a lot to be done, but I'm okay leaving it at this point and coming back and doing little bits and pieces over time. I really hope you enjoyed the progress we made today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, I appreciate you being here at this point in the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Oh, here's the seed, and here's the coordinates. Okay, love you, bye.